The fight for the keys. Tonight, our Target 8 investigation into keeping dangerous drivers off the road continues.
Target 8 investigator Heather Walker taking a look at how changes in our brain and our body as we age, obviously, they affect how we drive.
They do, and they have a big effect. And we thought, what better way to show you that effect than to get on the road with an elderly driver who graciously agreed to have us film him as he navigates the streets of Grand Rapids.
Ready to go, right?
This evening, myself and one of our photojournalists hopped into the car with Henry Holsteg, a professor of gerontology for 50 years. Now 82 years old, he's become the subject of his studies.
In fact, one of the things is right now, as one gets older, one is not as dexterous. So as you get into close parking, it's more difficult to turn around. And related to that, the ability to judge distance begins to be lost. And that's very important. And that creates a real problem.
Holsteg explains as we get older, everything slows down. Have you noticed differences when you drive?
Oh, no, I don't for myself, but for others, I've noticed. No, I'm kidding. Sure, I notice differences. I do not like to drive at night at all.
That's because as we age, our vision gets worse.
For the vast majority of older drivers, for them to drive 10 blocks to a hairdresser, to drive 11 blocks to church, to drive to a pharmacy is not really a major problem.
He says most problems happen driving at night, on the highway, or when there's lots of traffic.
Now I'm a little careful, like here's a yield sign. And yield from which direction? And it almost became a problem there.
You can see even when you're careful, you can have issues. Now, everyone does age differently. So how do you know if a loved one is no longer safe behind the wheel? You can watch for things like this. If they miss a stop sign, drive over curbs when they turn, have scrapes on their car, or get lost. Of course, just a few of the things to look out for.
What about a family physician? If they said that your parent wasn't able to drive anymore, would that hold weight legally or?
Well, that would help with the conversation, right?
Absolutely.
So it's someone else, an expert, telling you. But legally, the only way it would help is if you got that in writing and then use that for the Secretary of State's office for a reason to get a re-examination. So that would be a piece that would help in that, but it's not something that
by itself is binding,
yes, exactly, would keep someone off the road.
And often it's hard to get people to admit when they have a problem or what their limits are. And it was nice to see that he said he doesn't drive at night.
Right, yeah, to know those limits. So if you know some of the limits, maybe you can avoid taking away the license, but it's tricky.
Big time. Okay, more to come. Thank you, Heather.